Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade today giving you my top 10 action, adventure, survival or crafting games that I think are going to be big for the rest of this year. Over the last 3 years I've covered games like Grounded, Core Keeper, Power World, Lego, Fortnite and a lot more, and it's these types of games that I'm looking for this channel. So these I think have got the best chance of being maybe the next big thing. My criteria for this top 10 is about having really good combat, first or third person viewpoint. Some sort of big focus on crafting or survival mechanics and maybe a bit of base building. Preferable if you can play it with your friends, and definitely something that I can cover and hopefully give you lots of news and guides on when it launches. And yet most of these games are kind of family friendly, or at least something a bit more chill, so let me know which of these games you like the look of the most, and is there anything I should have included. Okay, enough waffle, let's get on with the video. At first glance, Skyverse looks like maybe a cheap Minecraft knockoff, but I think this game might actually have some potential. With a definitely more fantasy vibe going on, this is made or published at least by the same people that made DayZ. So they're helping a smaller game studio get this to fruition, and it is going to be about surviving in the skies on your airship as you travel from island to island, uncovering new loot, exploring dungeons and taking on ferocious skeleton enemies. The combat looks pretty decent. It's got a mix of things like typical melee as well as range, but also magic too. And this is all set in procedurally generated worlds with fully destructible environments. It's going to have full customization, so you can make your hair whatever colour purple you want. As I said, it's going to be co-op and it should be coming to PC, fingers crossed coming to consoles in the future too. So I think the combination of being able to customise and expand your airship is something that sets this game apart. We've seen a lot of these types of games at the moment with things like Aloft, upcoming Solarpunk and Lost Skies, but none of them have maybe a deeper focus on combat and this kind of RPG style mechanics. So yes, you will be able to place blocks down pretty much like Minecraft, so it seems, or at least build out or flesh out your airship, but it's not necessarily going to be a one-for-one Minecraft clone. No set release date yet, but I've been doing a lot of dev blogs. I would expect this game to maybe launch towards the end of the year. Zevaland is a zombie apocalyptic game where you will be surviving in obviously a world overrun by Zeds, with a whole arsenal of guns, different vehicles that you can utilise to get across a massive world. It is going to be an MMO, so online only game by the looks of things, and you're going to have to try and survive. What's really interesting is that if you die, you can actually come back as a zombie. So yes, you could try eating the brains out of the person that maybe killed you the first time, or tell a friend how much you really love them by chomping on their neck. It does look a bit Funko Pop like, but the big focus for me is on customising your vehicles. It looks pretty Mad Max like. One problem, there's no news about this. There's no Steam page, nothing other than just the reveal trailer from last year and a few articles. So yeah, fingers crossed we hear news soon. Now if you prefer a bit more sci-fi and maybe a little bit of a rip-off of Horizon Zero Dawn, then this might be something you're interested in. Light of Motiram is going to be an online or single-player open-world survival crafting game that will be coming to mobile as well as PC and consoles in the future. In fact, it might only actually be PlayStation at first, but fingers crossed it won't be too long before it hits Xbox. There's no getting away from it. It definitely looks like it's inspired by Horizon Zero Dawn, with that mix of action RPG mechanics with obviously taking on these giant mechanized animals and creatures. Big key difference though, you'll be doing this with your friends. Looks like it's going to have servers pretty much like Ark or Conan Exiles, where you'll join and build up your settlements, take on these big huge mechs and hopefully try and survive. A real mixed podge of stuff here. It's got like the Power World creatures that you can have kind of just doping around your base. It does look like they will have some uses like powering up or helping you garden and cultivate your farms. Only slight issue I've got is it will be one of them free to play games, obviously since it's going to be on mobile, which means there could be a bunch of nasty microtransactions. We'll have to keep an eye on it for sure. But I'm trying to be on the positive side, and let's see if we can find out more information, and there might be a chance I end up covering this on my main bigger channel. I know console fans always get a rough ride having to wait for some of these games to release, but that's just the way that game dev goes. It's a lot cheaper and quicker and easier for smaller game devs to release their games on Steam or PC first, and then if it's successful, of course, port it over. Well, Good news, Oppidum is going to be an action-adventure crafting survival game that you will be able to play on an Xbox or PlayStation very soon. In fact, it was meant to come out towards the end of 2024. Looks like they had a little bit of a small delay, but it should still be coming out relatively soon. It is a co-op action-adventure in third person where you'll be building out your camps, exploring a cute and colourful world with a focus on story as well as obviously typical gathering resources and fighting a ton of different monsters. It's got magical teleportals and a lot more as you place stuff around your camp, hopefully to get an upper edge, as well as farming, so it's got a little bit of coziness in it too. Scheduled for release as a full game, not early access, across all platforms at some point between April and June. Definitely going to be checking this one out. Voyagers of Nera is something I've shown off a few times now, and I'm looking forward to the actual full release. They've been ramping up lots of dev blogs, and it is effectively an open world survival crafting game where you'll be exploring the seas, going from island to island, using skiffs as well as these pretty nifty surfboards. It's got full base building in it, it's got customization galore, and you'll be taking on all sorts of creatures and enemies in definitely a more Pixar, slightly maybe Fortnite-esque looking game. It's going to have magic, or at least spirits in it, where you'll be able to hopefully bring forth little creatures to come alongside you, giving you buffs. All the while gathering resources to build up your supplies, make your home quite cozy looking, as well as functional, so you've got enough firepower to take on giant enemies. They've still got a bunch of playtests being shown off at the moment, so you've got to check it out, and it's going to be 1 to 10 players. So I'm really looking forward to this one, coming to PC at first initially, and then fingers crossed maybe to console in the future. Cloudheim is already a game that I'm pretty excited for. I've covered it on my main channel, and you might have seen a recent video taking a look at their combat trailer. The devs reached out and said, hey, could you show it off a bit more? And I said, why not? I'm doing this list video. I was going to include it anyway. It's kind of nice to get paid for something you was going to do. Genuinely, I'm pretty excited about Cloudheim. It's got definitely a bigger focus on combat than probably any of the other games we've seen, or at least it looks a lot more polished and probably a bit more involved. It's a 1 to 4 co-op action game. Set in a Norse mythological world, you'll be exploring all sorts of dungeons and islands and trying to get enough resources to hopefully upgrade your own blacksmith shop. With a deep focus on being able to make your own weapons, either sell them or of course use them against a ton of different enemies. That's what I really like. The combat in this looks just nuts. Anything from like Dragon Ball Z to Genshin Impact and maybe a bit of Breath of the Wild. It's got a complete physics-based system, so you can make enemies collide into destructible parts of the world and do a lot more damage if you can get them into the air, and do a whole host of combos, especially when you play it with your friends. The weapons that you craft or be able to unlock will give you unique styles. It's got a ton of elemental powers that you can utilise and special abilities, and seems like there might be even some pets and stuff that you'll be able to hopefully help you. With puzzle elements in some of these dungeons as you explore, you'll be on a literally flying turtle as your base as you go and conquer the world and hopefully get enough resources, as I said, to build up your own workshop. It's not strictly survival, but definitely got them simulation mechanics with managing your own store. But for sure, the best thing to me about this game is the combat, and I know a lot of my Grounded fans really liked certain parts of that combat, but it was always a bit Dark Souls-like. It was always a bit of parry and then maybe attack some of the bugs. Well, in this game, it's definitely more about the action, getting in so many combo hits, bit of strategy or call to action with your teammates to unleash all your powers together, and it's going to be 1 to 4 players. There will be a link to the Steam wishlist down below in the comment section and in the descriptions. Make sure you check it out. They've also got a Discord if you want more details, but expect lots of coverage from me on this, and it will be coming to Xbox, PlayStation and PC. The game I really liked was Tribes of Midgard, and this is giving me the same sort of vibe but in third person. Stormforge is going to be a 1 to 8 co-op survival action adventure game. Full base building as you harness the power of storms to craft and get new weapons, take on bosses in a pretty obviously fantasy kind of vibe game. What's unique is it's going to have a big emphasis on players being able to create content. It's going to have their own little creations that you'll be able to make points of interest, and players will be able to download them and add them to their world. Seems to have a good mix of different biomes and obviously dungeons to explore. I'm really looking forward to seeing when this will actually come out. I'm hoping still at the end of this year. The game, formerly known as Farm Folks, has now just been rebranded to Autonomica. That's just about how you say it, I think. It's a game that's just about to launch in Kickstarter very soon and hopefully release not soon afterwards. Made by Creativo, got a good reputation for releasing and helping indie games. This is going to be one of their first games they've made for themselves in a while. It did start off as something very different, very cute and cozy, almost like Animal Crossing, but that morphed into something completely different, with a bigger focus now on automation, as well as exploring certain regions to take on ghostly, ghastly creatures, and maybe even other players. It's another game that's promising everything. You'll be able to have creatures in your farm, and that's a big focus on growing your crops to make money, to then invest back in technology, to upgrade your farmstead and customise your home to whatever liking you want. With all the typical side content you expect to see, like fishing and a good emphasis on watering all your crops. Full modular base building with some unique customisation of windows and doors. Definitely a co-op focused game with you and your friends hopefully grinding out resources to build a settlement together, but equally being able to be playing it on your own. I absolutely love automation. I really loved Tectonica and other games that have got it, and this game seems to be having it as well. So maybe a bit simplified than Satisfactory, which just about fits my brain power. I'm looking forward to this one. But perhaps even more so because of what you can do at night time. You will be hunting down these spectral, ghost-like, weird creatures, but there's apparently going to be some sort of PvP zones where you'll go back in time to take on other players. Honestly, when the devs talk about so much of this stuff, you just think, what? Well, there's too much going on here. But it does sound like it could be really cool if they can pull it all off. So no longer farm, folks. It is autonomica. That's the one. I think this could be big, so I'll be keeping an eye on it and keeping you guys in the loop of any developments. I've spoke about Under a Rock a hell of a lot over the last few years, and I'm going to continue to do so because I do think this game could be something special. 1 to 10 co-op survival crafting in a procedurally generated world in a tropical paradise with huge volcanoes and maybe some unique weather events. You'll be exploring using your grapple, maybe fast travel waypoints and possibly tames as you try and take on these Neanderthals and maybe some prehistoric creatures. Exploring caves, gathering loot with full base building, customization and a lot more. You guys know if you watch the channel a long time, like I said, I've been hyping this for such a while. I'm looking forward to seeing if it matches. We've seen recent gameplay, it looked pretty good. I'm intrigued how the combat's going to work out with facing some of these giant, massive Neanderthals. But it looks fun, it definitely looks Pixar-esque. The base building looks pretty cozy as well. With multiple ways to build, whether it's just regular, have 20 foundations in your inventory, or blueprint building, where you can all help out and pitch in. And there definitely will be maybe a bit more to it with a skill system, giving it a slight RPG-like quality. Of course, the question is when? Well, they did put a trailer out last year and they did put lots of platforms like Xbox and PlayStation 5 on at the end of it. But I would expect it to go into early access, hopefully by the end of the year, and then consoles maybe a year later. We'll have to wait and see. But the big one, absolutely my most hyped for game is Light No Fire. Again, something I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to cover it. It could be this channel, it could be my main, which is really meant to be for more mature, all sorts of survival games like Rust, DayZ and hardcore like island games. So I don't know where this really fits because it's got a fantasy vibe. It's got an action adventure vibe. You'll be exploring a procedurally generated Earth-sized planet. Of course, it's made by the same people behind No Man's Sky, so it's going to have full base building as you can see, lots of mounts and creatures to go and tame. But the combat does look pretty interesting, and that's what's elevating it, and I'm including it in this list video. It is the most wishlisted game on Steam out of the survival genre right now, and probably like number 3 out of any game currently in the top 10. And I'm contractually obliged to mention that No Man's Sky, of course, launched in a rough state, but literally 8 years later has now become one of the best games going. So all that learning, all the stuff they've done the right things over the years, hopefully can be put into this. Fingers crossed though, the procedural generation doesn't make things just a little bit too boring or repetitive, as it can be the case in No Man's Sky, even if it does all look pretty different. But yeah, I reckon they're going to pull something special with this. Is it going to release this year? Who knows? They did reveal it last year, they've mentioned it a couple times in their blogs, they're backporting some of the technology and the basic graphics from this game into No Man's Sky, so I think they're definitely well advanced. I reckon this might stealth drop at the end of the year. And yeah, while I'm excited for all these games in the list, this one is pretty much head and shoulders above almost anything else. And that's it. A whole bunch of other games, of course, I'm looking forward to, like Subnautica 2 and a lot more, but I don't really class them in the same kind of bracket as the ones we spoke about today. But either way, make sure you subscribe to this channel and my main to see everything to do with survival. Fingers crossed one of these games will come out soon that I can really get behind, just like I did with Grounded, until Grounded 2 arrives hopefully in the future. Until next time, Ratbags, laters.